Hey guys, Break here. Today the latest Legion developer Q&A came out and it's quite interesting. They're talking about Brawler's Guild, micro holidays, basically a lot of the 7.1.5 stuff and also some pretty cool profession stuff. So I'm going to go through what they've said and give you my thoughts about it. So for profession gear, they say that the crafted gear has only a limited duration, and as more content is added to the game, higher item level loot becomes available elsewhere. Obliterum, the upgrades help to keep crafted gear relevant, and they're saying that crafted gear is still on the radar, and in future patches the team will try to keep adding more things, such as the engineering items added in 7.1.5, and there's a possibility of new recipes and new armor becoming available in patch 7.2. I really agree with them in the fact that crafted gear becomes irrelevant during the expansion very early on. I really would like to see more hardcore crafting, more serious crafting, and basically make it more relevant again, because in previous expansions even crafted PvP gear would still sell right up to the end of the expansion, but without PvP gear this expansion we just don't have anything like that. Even something like a legendary, I'd love the idea that somehow you could find some items, join them together and craft your own legendary. It would probably be better than the system we have at the moment, or it would certainly be a cool addition to it. But yeah, profession gear really does need to be worked on, I think. Moving on, they're talking about the Brawler's Guild. Bosses are set to a fairly static difficulty, increasing as you progress through. Early bosses should be approachable for most players, and fights become more challenging later on. Boss health adjustments based on spec is not something the team did, as it might diminish the accomplishment of beating the boss. The team thought about ways they could bring healers into the Brawlers Guild, and maybe they can in the future, but that's not something they're thinking about just yet. There are no plans to add additional bosses in this expansion, but it's not out of the question. Almost every idea makes it into the Brawlers Guild, and a Mario themed fight was started and never finished, as was a Mega Man fight. This is all pretty interesting. I really like the Brawlers Guild. I've done a couple of the early bosses and it's true they are pretty easy, and certainly the later bosses are very hard, at least for me. I think this is great. I think it should be challenging, and I just really like the Brawlers Guild. I'm really glad they brought it back. I think it's a bit unfair for some specs, because especially some casters have a harder time than a lot of the tanky melees. At the same time, I think some of the melees may have a harder time moving out of things, so perhaps balancing would be a better idea, but to be honest, it's just a bit of fun. I have a great time with it. It's a challenging piece of extra content. I really like it, and it's great they brought it back. Next, they're talking about time walking. So the team is talking about increasing the item level on time walking gear. They say Scholarmance probably won't make it into Mr. Pandaria time walking, as it's only about the Pandaria dungeons. In the future the team might be able to do vanilla time walking, but there are no plans to do it right now. The vanilla dungeons don't hold up to current design standards, which is why they never started with vanilla time walking. They started with BC. Time walking is designed to cover content from 2 expansions ago and earlier, so we won't see Warlord's time walking until next expansion, though I don't know why you'd want to see Warlord's time walking anyway. And they also say that time walking raids are probably coming at some point. It is a safe bet. Well, I'm really excited about the time walking raids idea. I know a lot of people are into that, especially with all the legacy server controversies and people talking about Vanilla WoW, how much better it was. Whilst I'm not sure I agree with them, certainly being able to experience some of those older raids would be super cool, especially if they get the rewards right. However, I'm not too sure about the fact that they don't want to do vanilla time walking for dungeons. The BC worked great, and a lot of people have great nostalgia about these dungeons. So I think, just put them in and see what people think. They'd certainly be a lot more popular than Warlords of Draenor time walking would be. So yeah, I don't see why they can't put vanilla dungeons in. Engineering goggles. The new engineering goggles are the highest tier crafted items right now. The goggles are more powerful, so they take more to craft and have random stats. You can farm or buy hardened fell glass, which is an item you need to make the goggles. The goggles are BOE, so you can sell them to someone else if you don't get the stats you want. Again, I really like the idea of more crafted items. The problem is, even though the goggles are the most powerful crafted item, they're still not even that powerful, and when 7.2 comes out, or even with Nighthold, I think they're going to be replaced pretty quickly. So either there should be an unlockable item to upgrade your goggles, or they just need to make the item level of all crafted gear really a lot higher. I think that would be really cool. Next, they're talking about talent tomes. They say that these cost a little bit too much, which is largely due to the materials that go into them. In the near future, the team will look at ways to adjust costs of things that are too expensive. Obliterum, the cost of unlocking the forge worked out pretty well. Players had to interact with each other to make the armor pieces to unlock the forge. It's very likely that the cost of unlocking the forge will be reduced in a future patch. And skinning, making skinnable mobs multi-tap is still something the team wants to do. I agree with them in the talent tomes. I really don't see the point in them. Why can't you just switch up your talents in a raid? It makes the game a lot more interesting when you can change up your talents depending on the boss fight, and having to teleport back to Dalaran or buy expensive tomes is just pointless and time wasting and boring in my opinion. As for the Obliterum stuff, yeah, it's quite cool, but again, it caps out at 860 or 870 item level. It's really not high enough for competitive play, and I really think they just need to either increase that item level or find a new way to implement it, because crafting gear really is quite irrelevant at the moment. As for the skinny mobs multi-tap, I kind of think that should be a thing. Herbalism and mining both have the multi-tap system. It's worked out really well. So yeah, why don't they implement it to skinning as well? Next is micro holidays. The rewards from these holidays aren't really collectible items because they have such a short duration, the holidays. Extra experience from a leveling micro holiday is a cool idea, and Call of the Scarab is a region-wide faction competition, not realm-wide. It also rewards a good amount of experience. I think 7.15 is a really good patch, and most of the reason I think that is because of the micro holidays. I've always enjoyed doing the in-game holidays, but having done them for 10 years straight, they get a bit dull. So these micro holidays are a really cool idea, and I kind of agree. I don't think they need such cool rewards, but at the same time, you want to encourage people to participate in them. So that's a tough one. But yeah, having good experience from them would be useful, just like the Legion invasions. Lots of people participated in them, mostly because it gave such good XP, and these wouldn't be so overpowered because they only last a couple of days. So yeah, having a lot of XP rewards from them would be a pretty cool idea, I reckon, and it would encourage a lot of people to come. Next up is rank 3 recipes. Basically, they're saying that the RNG is a good thing, and it's not breaking the game to have some RNG because rank 3 recipes don't give that much of an advantage. But they're also saying that in the future or later in the expansion, they may increase the chance for rank 3 recipes. And I know they have done that for a couple of recipes in the latest patch. Now, I'm not sure about this one. I do kind of like the idea of ranking up professions, rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. I think it's pretty cool, and it does add a bit more gameplay to the profession system. However, some of the rank 3 drop rates are a joke. For alchemy, you have to spend millions of gold creating hundreds of thousands of potions just to get the rank 3 upgrade, and so your profession can finally become profitable, which I don't think is fun for anyone. So yeah, rank 2, rank 3 is a good idea, but the drop rate needs to be a bit more attainable for the majority of the players. An interesting thing they talked about was gathering professions. So the team talks about making gathering professions separate each expansion, but it hasn't happened yet. They could add a third profession slot that is gathering only. Some of the people asking for another profession slot just want something new, but don't want to get rid of their existing professions. I really want this to happen. A lot of people just have gathering toons which they level up with herbalism and mining, say, and they keep the sort of exciting professions on their main toons. So why don't they just implement a third profession slot so you can have one gathering profession along with your two main professions? That would be so cool, that would be so good. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, and I really hope they do it. Finally, about weekly events. Separating time walking from the other events is something not planned right now. The team might remove less relevant events in the future. Keeping time walking rare helps to make it special. I agree that time walking events being on all the time wouldn't be great, because it does help make them pretty cool and more relevant. However, it's a bit annoying that you have to wait a month for each time walking event. I think if they remove something like the World Quest weekly event, everyone does their World Quest anyway, there's no point having a weekly event for it. And then you could put vanilla time walking in and have time walking every 2 weeks, because it's pretty cool. A lot of people do it to get the chance of the infinite mount, or the other 2 mounts they're farming, well 3 now because of the Mr. Pandaria time walking mount. So yeah, more time walking would be pretty cool, but don't have it on all the time. So that's about it, guys. They also said that patch 7.2 would be coming on the PTR soon, and yeah, I really do like these Q&As. I think it's pretty cool that they have this in-depth discussion with the player base. It's good for the game, and I hope they do more of them. I also really hope they do introduce some of these profession changes, making them more relevant and less RNG based in the future. So thanks for watching. See ya.